All right. Thanks, everybody, for the Friday afternoon. Take your time to join our number 6 episode. And today we have our guest, Bill, who's nominated by one of the accountants in Victoria to be our guest. I don't know who she is or he is, but here we are. We have Bill here as our guest. Welcome. And for people who don't know me, I'm Jessie. I work at Intuit Canada as the account manager for BC, and I help accounting professionals to improve their service, especially the cloud QBOA product. So that's what my job is. And what about you, Bill? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of firm you run and how did you start your business?
I kind of got lucky and fell into it. My background was actually accounting for publicly traded companies back in the mid-'80s on the Vancouver Stock Exchange, which is now the Toronto Venture Exchange. And I ran into a client that my wife had actually met. She works on the ferries, and she gets to know the bus drivers and the truck drivers and all that. And he was had his own street sweeping business, and he and her got talking about need for help in accounting, and he became a client. His sister-in-law ran all the events that go on in the mall that I eventually ended up in, and she phoned me up one day and said, I don't like the guy that's doing taxes here. Do you want to come back over to Victoria and run the tax business? And that's basically how I got started in the income tax and bookkeeping side of things. For the publicly traded side of things, who did all kinds of things, financial statements, monthly, quarterly, annual, worked with the auditors, did insider trading reports, and I had a whole list of regulatory people to report to. Vancouver being the prominent one, Calgary Exchange, Winnipeg Exchange, Toronto Exchange, and New York, and then all the regulatory bodies behind those as well. So it was definitely a different kind of business that I was in compared to what I've gotten into now. Started the tax business in the spring of 1991 with 500 clients. Very quickly went up to 12. Yep.
At the beginning, you have 500 T1 clients?
Yep. In year two, I had 1,200, and year 3, I had 2,000.
How did you get the 500 clients from the beginning?
You're in a mall. It's a convenience thing, right?
Oh.
Malls are good places to start a tax business. They really are. But I wanted to have something that was more permanent and something that was, I even got an ad worked out now for some poor guy that goes into a mall to get his taxes done, has a problem in July, goes back there to go get some help, and there's some guy selling wooden trains, and he's totally losing it because he can't get any help, and he's in trouble, and CRA's after him for something. So that's the kind of idea. But people shop in malls, and it's a convenience thing, right? So that's how it started, and then it just grew and grew from reputation. And I joked around about being a big enough pain in H&R Block's side that they'd come make me an offer, and about 7 years ago they did. I had 7,000 clients by then and 5 offices in Victoria, and they wanted the tax business. They didn't want bookkeeping. They didn't want corporate, and they let me keep my own little group of clients, which I agonized over because at the University Heights office, which is where I was, we had 4,000 clients there, and on most of them, at one point or another in my career, I had worked with them and done their taxes. So it was very hard to choose just 300 or so clients to take with me, but that's what I did. That's grown now to over 700, and and a few U.S. clients as well. So. But the bookkeeping side of the business is definitely the side that I've wanted to grow and I'm continuing to grow. And you and I were talking a couple of weeks back about all the fun that I used to have with that. I've been using Sage since it was called Bedford when it was a DOS program. And that was a long time ago. And back in those days, there was no WYSIWYG, whereas what you see is what you get now. You had to think about, from an accountant's point of view, when you were making a posting to accounts payable and maybe you're doing a credit to a customer and you're making a negative invoice, you had to truly think about what you were doing and what account it was going to and the effect it would have, because you couldn't just post a negative invoice to payables to a revenue account because it would really mess things up. So it's come a long way from the Bedford days in DOS to where we are now.
So why did you even think about pick up bookkeeping? Because you said you have like a few hundreds of tax clients keep you busy. So what?
But that only keeps me busy for three or 4 months a year. I need something to do the rest of the year. And my dream when I started with Lionheart, my dream there was to build year-round tax offices, and to support that year-round business, I had to have bookkeeping clients, because I didn't want to have a staff member work for me during tax season and then turn around and lay them off and hope that they're going to be there the following tax season. Yes, I lucked out with a few of them, and I had a few core preparers that's all they wanted to do, and they came back every year. But for the balance of the staff, to keep them year round, to be able to train them and work with them all the time, that's really what my goal was. But with the sales dates in our block, of course, it changed a lot of things and cut down the number of staff I had. I had 35 staff at the time. I've got 7 now, and 1 office instead of 5. So it makes it a little more manageable. But I still want to grow it. I still want to develop the bookkeeping side of things, and we've been, gradually progressing from the DOS programs to the Windows-based programs to going just with Simply Accounting and now Sage. And then QuickBooks came along 1991-ish, somewhere in early 90s, wasn't it? We didn't start using QuickBooks. Do you remember when it was?
Our company founded in the U.S. in 1980s, but they come to Canada roughly like early 90s. So.
Yes, that's what I thought. We didn't have a lot of clients using QuickBooks in the 90s, predominantly Sage. That really started to change in the early 2000s. And then, of course, now with the advent of online bookkeeping, it's definitely the way to go. It makes things so much easier to deal with customers and clients, and when they've got problems, and you don't have to interrupt what they're doing when you're doing their year end. They can still be working away on their books and everything else. So we're really trying to embrace the whole entire idea of online bookkeeping.
I know it has been a long way for you. I remember first time you had, I just think my Sage works perfect for me. And you didn't have any staff, had any certification for QuickBooks Online, right? So you have to train them and make sure them join all the webinars and the in-person training to get along. So how did you transition your business? At the beginning, you said it's only tax. And then you see, okay, bookkeeping is the one I can keep for the year-long business and my staff. And then at the time, you only have Sage as an option at the time you have the bookkeeping business. So when you were so comfortable with whatever you already make your business going so well, right? And at what point do you think you need something to change or something new?
Well, the online bookkeeping world has truly changed that, and I could see it coming, and I can see other changes possibly coming down the road as well to make things even much more simple. And especially with all the add-on apps and whatnot they can get with QBO now, it just makes it even that much simpler and more logical. So it just the convenience thing, because it was again, it was frustrating if a client was using Sage and now year end is up or their quarters are up or something like that, and I'm taking a backup copy of their books and bringing it back to the office. They can't be posting while I'm posting, and that's always been a problem, and it will continue to be a problem for those kinds of clients. But with the advent of online bookkeeping and using QBO, that's completely gotten rid of. And another thing that I see happening is client has a problem, rather than try to describe it to me, now they can be on the phone with me. I can be logged into their books, and the two of us can be working through whatever the issue is at the same time. And it makes things so much simpler.
So when you start using Sage, and how did you find your clients at the beginning when you start looking for bookkeeping business, because you used to be only tax? How did you find your bookkeeping clients at the beginning?
I asked a lot of my tax clients if they knew anybody. A lot of them did have their own little small businesses as well. So, you get into that. A lot of it is just referral and word of mouth. I have tried other things, radio, print, different kinds of print. Of course, Yellow Pages is not used very much anymore. Other methods are used. I'm trying a couple of different things right now. I'm trying something with lead generation through web.com and the internet, and I'm also trying, believe it or not, a telemarketer.
Oh, really?
Yep. I thought I'd give that a try. I've never tried it before, and he came highly recommended to me. So I chatted with him briefly already. So the project's going to actually be underway as of today. So we'll have to see how that one works. Getting a lot of good referral traffic from the web and from organic searches, now people looking for bookkeeping and with a web presence and the proper kinds of things on your website, the referrals, lots of information and services that you offer, and try to keep the site updated as best as possible. Those kinds of things do help. So
after you tried all that different marketing tool, which ones do you prefer so far?
Actually,
like
the word of mouth
or telemarketing or word of mouth is the most efficient.
Word of mouth by far is the most effective. I belong to a couple of business networking groups. Those worked really well. I've still got a lot of clientele from that, and then the clients beget you another clients. My daughter introduced me to one of her coworkers who's an IT professional. He's got a small business corporation, and then he has a little tea shop as a second small business corp. So he referred them to me, and I've met with him, and we're working on those. He referred another IT buddy to me. That IT guy has come in, and he's been working with me, and now he's referred yet another IT person. So if you're upfront with the people when you're talking with them, you make them feel comfortable, solve their problems, figure out what their problem is, and solve it. Yeah, it is. It really, truly is. Solve what problems they've got, and then the bookkeeping is honestly is secondary to you listen to what they've got, what the problems are, figure out where they really need the help, and offer to help them in those areas. Most of the time it's regulatory stuff, make sure my GST is filed on time, make sure my PST is filed on time, make sure my tax returns are filed on time, and any other reporting and stuff that they have to do. And just, as I said, solve the problems, make the pain go away.
That's true. So you think the customer are very price sensitive, or is more about they just want to make the pain go away, like you said?
It was actually one of the sessions that I took with you, and making the value-based pricing. We no longer quote an hourly rate. I still got to get that. I still got to get that spreadsheet from her, but I've kind of used that general idea in a couple of quotes we've recently given to people. We just don't quote hourly rates anymore. We just take a look at the job. We got an idea of how long it'll take. We ask them what other services they want us to do. Always put the provisional in there that if they're asking us to do more, or if it takes us less, then we'll adjust our rate up or down accordingly. And I just do a calculation and say, okay, you want QBO, you want HubDoc, you want 6 hours a month, you want your year-end financials, and then just do the math and give them a price. And if they want a price shop, then I'm not interested in having them as a client. Really.
Well, yeah, if they do that, they will not see how much work you have done for them. They will only see the money they paid you. They will not really value how much time they saved.
Exactly. They won't look at the value of it. They're just plain and simply going to look at the dollars and cents. And I don't want clients that have that's all they're interested in. I want clients that everybody needs our help. I want clients that want our help as well.
So before, you used to bill just hourly. So how do you bill them? So you have the Sage, now you have QuickBooks, and then you have the tax software, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you bill them separately and the invoice plus your service? That's how
Not anymore. That's how it used to be. We'd bill them for the hourly rate for bookkeeping, and then depending on whether it was their year end for the corporate tax return or personal tax return, financial statements, GST reports, that kind of thing. Now we bundled it all together. If they're quarterly filing for GST, there's 4 GST reports a year. If there's a corporate return, there's a corporate return. If there's bookkeeping at 10 hours a month, and then again, we just do all the math, add it all up, divide by 12, add a little bit in extra for just in cases, give them a quote. And I haven't had anyone yet say they don't like those quotes. So.
Well, because they know how much they pay. It's a fixed price.
Yeah.
It's not surprise them for anything they don't know, right? So.
Exactly. They can budget for it.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, they can budget for it much better.
So after you start the hourly rate, before, and then when you have a conversation to tell the customer, this is what we do now, new things, new pricing, was that conversation hard for them to accept?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Really?
When they
don't
not
tell
at all.
you.
No, we just tell them we don't have an hourly rate. We just plain and simply say we assess the job and this is what it's going to cost. And because we're pretty good at assessing it, we got a feel for 20 transactions a month versus 40 versus 80 versus 100 kind of thing, right? And I know how long it takes to do a corporate return, and I've trained my bookkeepers well. So, there's not a lot of extra things I have to do at year end. Get a good feel for it. I know how long all these things take. It takes less than 5 minutes to do a GST report, but we allow 15 minutes for that. And that kind of thing. And you'd put all that together and do the math. And I haven't had one person say, oh, well, that's a terrible amount or whatever. They've all agreed to it so far. So it's been good.
What about those long-term existing clients who's been paying you the hourly for years and years? Now you suddenly tell them, oh, I changed to a new model.
We're working on switching them over gradually. A lot of our regular monthly clients have been flat rate anyways, but we never gave it much thought as to how all of that fit together, and especially with the corporate and the financials and everything else. But I've always, even over the years, tried to maintain that kind of a flat rate billing just to make it that much easier. So again, from the client's point of view, for budgeting purposes, and for the same reason actually on our point of view is budgeting purposes. I know how much regular flat rate monthly billings coming in, and I know what I've got coming in to meet payrolls and rents and everything else. So it's not been a major one. There are a few clients that we have that are so irregular that going to a flat monthly billing is just not going to work. But it would be kind of nice, and maybe we can get them there one day. But I'm not worried too much about those ones, but definitely the model going forward is that we're adopting this and not quoting an hourly rate anymore.
So definitely the new client is much easier just to adopt the new pricing right away. The existing client, you still need to think about specifically case by case, which client is easier to move, which client is not. Maybe to stay in the same pricing so far.
Yeah.
So they don't get upset.
I do want to get them all there eventually. Like that, it will definitely be the plan, is to get them all flat rate monthly billing. But at the moment, no, it's going to take some time. Whenever you implement anything new, all the new stuff is easy. All the existing stuff is the hard part. So you create a new chart of accounts for plumbers, and you got a half a dozen plumbers. Well, all the new ones is going to be easy because that's the chart of accounts. All the older ones, it's going to be a little more difficult because you've always done it a certain way, and now all of a sudden you're going to change it. So it takes time to implement any kind of change.
Okay, that's true. So right now you have a different platform in your firm. So how did you find QuickBooks clients, and how did you find Sage clients? Are they different? Because our QuickBooks, we focus on the QuickBooks Online Accountant. So from the clients you have now already on QuickBooks Online, what's the major source they come from? The lead come from where?
A few have come to us with QBO already in tow. We're also converting a lot of our Sage clients over to QBO, again, for the simplicity, depending on whether we're doing them in-house or whether it's an on-site client. A lot of our clients also want to do their own billing but don't want to do the rest of the bookkeeping, and having them do their own billing in one system and then having us turn around and redo it in another is redundant. So it's saving everybody time that way. But again, the huge selling point that we keep looking at is the convenience. The fact that it's got that online access, that if I want to go on holidays and spend a couple of weeks on the beach in Hawaii, I can still have my laptop out, and oddly enough, I can still do work from from there. Not that I would, but
well, you can remote control your stuff.
There you go. If a crisis or something came up or something needed to be dealt with, and they always do, then you can access from anywhere. And the other thing is the platform access. I mean, this is really helping the Mac users. That's been by far the biggest problem. Sage had a simply version 1.0, and they never went past that for Macs. And it was a really archaic. We had a client that insisted on us using it, and it took us 10 hours once a week to do his stuff. That now takes less than 4 because he finally relented and let us switch over to PCs. But now with the advent of online bookkeeping, not only can Mac users use it, but iPad users, and God knows if anyone would want to actually do their bookkeeping from an iPhone, but it could be done.
Yes,
it's because they get web access. Yeah.
At least they can send an invoice. That I know.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's the most important part.
I think it's the convenience thing, and you take a look at certain industries like, say, plumbers and builders and that, where they're on site and doing a job for a client. There's nothing to stop them now from whipping out their iPad and clicking in a couple of things and instantly sending them an invoice. And that's where it's going to be places like that it's really, truly going to help. And I've seen a lot of small retail stores now, their cash register is an iPad. And they're using a desktop or an iPad app right then and there to do their point of sale stuff. So that's the way the world's heading.
Yeah. So when you first start any kind of a cloud accounting, because it used to be all desktop based, how long did it take for you to actually get used to this new way to do bookkeeping? I know a lot of people told me when they do the desktop version, they have all the window, right? Pop up. When you click on something, they have a window pop up for you. But for QuickBooks or any other cloud-based platform, it's always open the browser, multiple tabs. You have the toggle between forward the different browser, different tabs. So how long did it take for you and your bookkeepers in your firm to actually adopt that new way to, like, the interface is different, right?
The biggest thing was the difference in the interface by far. And but once we got used to that, and that was fairly quickly, but once we got used to that, it's nothing now to set up something to do something. It takes minutes. And it's the one frustration that I had, the major difference between Sage and QuickBooks desktop was that I found that the desktop version of QuickBooks had so much information in there that that most of my clients that were using it weren't using it for its fullest capacity. They were using it just as a basic bookkeeping and found it overwhelming if they tried to dip their toe into that bigger pool. So it's whereas Sage had a much simpler approach to it. They had an edit section, and for payroll, for ARAP, all that kind of thing, all set up nice and neat, and you could do it on the fly. No different than QuickBooks, but the online stuff is so much easier to use, and you don't have all the drill down stuff that the desktop version offered, and it makes it so much simpler. So once you get past that initial,
I think.
I
suppose find they like more windows. Some people like a lot of window pop up. They like the feeling, so when they click on something, another window pop up, so they can edit it, save it, the window goes away. That's the way they used to for the last 20 years. So maybe just you like the simple interface, but other people
nice and clean.
still prefer the window pop up. So that's the most challenge, switching from desktop version to online. So I try to explain the web browser tabs. A lot of people get used to it after a while, but at the beginning, most people are just not used to it.
Well, the tabs are the same thing as a pop-up. They're just not popping up in your face. They're just a new tab's opening up. Go to the new tab and do what it is you have to do, figure it out, answer the question, click close, and away you go, right?
Yeah. So. But you do have the option to manage even same client. You can manage one tab for reporting, one tab for payroll, one tab for any other session in that one file. Also, you can do different clients in different tabs. So I find that after getting used to it, it's okay. So
yes, and the different client thing is something that's really important too. That Sage has always allowed us to have multiple windows open only in the last few years has QuickBooks Desktop allowed, and you can still only do two, because I've got a couple of clients that have a half a dozen companies at their office, and unfortunately they all interact with each other. One company pays the rent and bills all the other companies. One company doesn't have enough money, so the other company pays their bills and all that kind of stuff. And you need to have them all open. And not having them, not being able to do that was very frustrating. But having them all open and being able to hop back and forth from company to company just makes it that much easier. So,
well, so after you find you want to transition into cloud, was it hard for you to find the right fit in your firm, the right employee to adopt this new accounting? Like, how did you hire your bookkeepers to use QuickBooks Online?
Most of my bookkeepers are younger than I am. Actually, all but one is younger than I am. And the younger generation has definitely adopted web use. My daughter at home, I'll ask a question and she'll pop up and ask Siri something right away, right? Because that's how she does it. And that's how the younger generation does it. So it hasn't been that hard at all. It's been more difficult, I think, on myself and my one senior bookkeeper, because the two of us have been using Sage all of our lives. I've been using Sage, well, as I said, since it was a DOS program, going back to 1980. So what's that, 37 years doing bookkeeping on one platform, to suddenly switch to something so totally new that it makes us scratch our heads sometimes. But the younger generation, it hasn't been a problem at all. And that's the way the internet, everything's heading that way. So rather than try and fight it, you just embrace it and adopt it.
How did you find those younger bookkeepers? Do you hire them from like LinkedIn or Indeed or from the school? How did you get those younger generation bookkeepers who already know what they do?
None from LinkedIn yet. Indeed, from the schools, from Craigslist, Kijiji. We just post ads on those various sites and if we get lucky, sometimes we get one with experience, sometimes we don't, and then so we have to do some training. I'm fine with that too, either way. I'm trying to get to a point where I've got a core group of trained bookkeepers, so that from now on I can just bring in somebody that has an interest in bookkeeping and train them, especially with all the new software and systems that we do and everything else. So,
do you list the requirement, what kind of a certification you need when you hire somebody on the website? Like,
yes.
hey, I need QBOA certification, I need a payroll, some kind of degree from the schools. Do you have that listed on the website?
Yes, we do that on when we post for jobs. That's what we're asking for. Yes. Definitely the certification, and the more certifications and the more qualifications they have, the higher starting rate that they'll get paid. It's like if you're a junior bookkeeper and you have no prior experience, well, don't expect to get paid well. But if you've got the experience and everything else, then you're going to get paid decently well. I try to look after my staff. We have a health program as well, so that makes that's a huge selling point if somebody's trying to make a decision of which company they may or may not want to work for. It's you wear glasses and you need to have your glasses every couple of years, and nice to have some of that paid for by a plan, and or your prescriptions or all that other kind of stuff.
So your selling point for people to work for you is you provide training if they're new.
No,
right?
My biggest selling point is I'm a nice guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cherry on the top. Okay.
Yeah, provide certainly, absolutely. I don't expect them to know everything. And again, I've been doing this for 37 years, so I've got my 37 years of experience in how things work and all the kinds of problems we have, what kinds of pain points that clients tell us that this is my previous bookkeeper did this, blah 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 blah. I've seen all that. I know I've been there and done all, and experienced all that. So now I'm able to help out and show them, keep them from making the same mistakes perhaps that I might have even made when I was younger.
Yeah. So I know you started teaching in the college for Sage. Which year was that? When did you start it?
I started teaching at Camosun College here in Victoria. Yeah. Camosun is actually the college I went to get my accounting diploma in. So I've always tried to give back. Over the years, when I had Lionheart, I did a lot of co-op student hiring, especially during tax season. Probably in the 20 or so years with Lionheart, I would have hired maybe 30, 35 co-op students from Camosun, and probably the same thing from the University of Victoria as well. We also used to have seasonal kiosks doing taxes for students in those locations. But now so I've always wanted to get back to the college. And then about 2 years ago, an opportunity came up to start teaching Sage. And unfortunately, I would have been asked to teach QuickBooks as well, but they had found and it turns out she's a good friend of mine too. So they found somebody else to teach the QuickBooks course before I got asked. So I got the Sage, she got the QuickBooks, and I'm totally fine with that. Then as things progressed and the school got comfortable with me and everything else, and I'm seeing that there's nothing out there for QBO, I went back to the college and asked them if they'd be interested in offering a course for QBO, and they've embraced that with open arms. And I don't know if Marisa's had a chance to talk with Elaine or not yet, but or I don't know if you've actually had a chance to talk to Elaine or not at Camosun, but I know that they certainly welcome comments and feedback from you guys on how to make how to get the enrollment up and get more people in there and the like. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be doing one in the spring. I think it starts in February, and I'm really looking forward to that. And it's totally different teaching atmosphere from the college's point of view, because they've never had a web-based program of any sort taught at the college yet. So this is a first for them as far as web-based, and also, of course, from an accounting point of view as well. So we're looking forward to it.
Marisa, are you on the line?
I'm here, yes.
Hey, Marisa, I just want to see, can you tell me a little bit about how did you find Bill and get him to sign up the education program to teach the QBO, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so thanks. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Marisa, and I work at Intuit, and I manage our education program for Canada. And Bill and I actually connected through Jessie. So Jessie and Bill work closely together, and then we found out that Bill, you work for the college and that you've been teaching Sage, and then the QuickBooks opportunity came up. So that was really interesting. And then we kind of came to you and said, we have an education program that is free for both the educator and the students, and we deliver, we also give out free training and free lesson plans, to help the teacher teach QuickBooks or even profile in the classroom. So that's how we got connected. And we also found out, that our program is really aligned with a lot of institution goals, being that we want to help students advance their skills in accounting, tax, or entrepreneurship. So this was a good fit for both, I think, and Bill, you can comment here too, for Intuit, for the school, and for yourself. And as you said, you're getting QuickBooks Online in the spring semester, and so I'm also happy to work with you on how to get registrations up. But I'm super excited to see how that rolls out, what students think, and I think that's incredible.
I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. It's definitely on the exciting side. You get a lot of feedback from them as well while you're teaching, and you're the subtle little things sometimes that you never thought of, that the crazy little questions they ask lead you down some very interesting rabbit holes. But it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun getting back to teach. I've been teaching pretty well everything since high school. Jessie and I were talking a couple of days ago about my background in teaching, and it started in high school. And the kids would come to me and say, "Bill, how do you do this? How do you do that?" And that was my studying, and I never actually thought too much about that. And I'm ashamed to admit that when I got up to university, because I didn't learn to study, I actually failed English, because my own language. I failed English. Yeah. But that was primarily because I never learned how to study. But I've been teaching pretty well all my life with my staff and and that over the years, and now this opportunity at the college and being able to give back to the community, it's and uh, the side benefits been there's been a couple of potential employees that I've been teaching, and I picked up a couple of clients as well. So
Oh, really?
some of these
How did you do that?
because they're there to learn from their employers, and they get hung up, so they got to get a little bit of consulting role on the side. They got a problem with their GSTs messed up, and they need me to come in and tidy it up. Come in, tidy it up, bill them for a couple hours, and they're happy, and off I go. So, been a good
Wow, that's
arrangement.
great.
Yeah, it's
That's
really working
great.
well for everybody.
So
Yeah,
when the students graduate, Marisa, do you think we have any way to help those students find a job in the accounting firm?
Yeah, I think that it's exactly what Bill was saying, and I think the more students that know QuickBooks, specifically even QuickBooks Online, the higher probability of getting them jobs. We know that a lot of, and Bill, you can probably speak to this yourself too, but we know that a lot of bookkeepers and accountants want to hire students, but a lot of them, and Bill, you're lucky because you can provide that training, but a lot of firms sometimes don't have the time to provide that training. So when a student can graduate and walk into a potential employer and say, hey, I'm certified in QuickBooks or Profile, or I was taught this in school and I know how to use the product, then I think that's an up for them, and something that our bookkeepers and accountants want to hire for.
Absolutely. The cost isn't just the cost of the training, it's also the cost of the trainer as well. So if you've got the student learning something and they're not, you're not billing at top dollar at that moment, plus you got the trainer training them, that's a lot of dollars per hour going out in training costs until they're up to speed. And often it's a solid 2 or 3 months before you can really let a bookkeeper go and do something on their own and know that they're going to be doing it fine. So it's having a course or two under their belts when they come to you, definitely a huge hiring opportunity. And as I said earlier, I'll give that person a buck or two more an hour than I will somebody with zero software, zero experience.
Yeah,
Does the school allow the accounting firms post that job in the school when the students graduate?
Yes,
oh, okay.
yes, yep. They're and it doesn't matter whether the students are in a co-op program or not. They actually a lot of the co-op coordinators will reach out to whatever the field is. In this particular case, we're talking about accounting, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be the cook school or the nursing school or whatever. But they all do the same thing. And if there's jobs available, what I often do is I'll phone my contact there and I'll say, hey, I'm looking for somebody. And rather than they may post the job, but he might already say right away, I've got a candidate for you right now. I know somebody that's got the experience, has done this. They're in college. They want to finish their CPA program and they want to work with a firm, and they're a perfect candidate for you. Well, then all that avoids all the posting process. I can go straight to the one interview and find out whether it's a fit or not. So it's definitely helpful. Colleges are a good place to find potential employees.
Marisa, is it possible you can share your screen for like a couple minutes just to see where to find those education programs if somebody wants to teach in the school?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is, if you just go to intuit.ca/education, it will bring you to this website. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Let me know when you can see it.
It's loading. It's working. Yay, it works. I can see you,
okay.
Bill. That's Marisa. You see that video? That's Marisa.
No, there she is. She's not talking now. She's a ventriloquist. She can talk without moving her lips.
Right.
That's her.
Thank you. Yes. So when you go to Intuit/education, it brings you to this website, and as you can see, we have a section for students and a section for educators. So as an educator, if you were to click that button, you get all of these benefits, as I said before, free training for yourself or other teachers at the school. And that training would include how to use the product and how to teach it. as well as free resources depending on the product that you're teaching. And most of our resources are anywhere between 30 hours worth of teaching time and 30 to 36 hours worth of teaching time. And we go through all of the instances within QuickBooks or Profile, including activities for the students and a couple of exercises. So those are some of the benefits that you get, but it's really easy to sign up. So if you're a teacher, you would just click on the educator registration. You'd have to fill out the form. The questions are really just making sure you know what school do you go to, and then you would just drop down, select the product that you want to teach, and hit submit. Once you hit submit, we send you your free licenses, which are free for a year. And then as long as you continue to be a teacher or student, you can re-register and you can continue to get these benefits. So it's as simple as that. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can also email me myself. My email is marisa_videc@intuit.com. And I'll just post that in the chat so that for those of you that are attending this right now, you can see that. But yeah, it's so that's it. That's our program, and it's as simple as that.
So the program is self-study paced, right? So if the person wants to train them as a trainer, you provide all the material, and then they can self-study at their own pace. Then they can be the trainer at the school.
Yeah, they can use. So the student you're talking about can absolutely do that on their own too. If they just sign up under student registration, they would get the product and they could teach it to themselves. So it goes both ways depending on how you want to utilize our program within your school. But I'd say, and we also set up the Educator for Success by providing them with all of that as well.
So is there in the future we can have a list of the school who's having the KBO course available in their program? In the roadmap in the future, are we going to have that open information for everybody to search?
It's something that we're thinking about. So yes, but we're not there yet. But absolutely, so that students that are looking to learn QuickBooks online can register at a school that they know that they're teaching it. Yep.
I think Camosun's the only one in British Columbia, isn't it? At the moment, or are there other small software schools?
Specifically teaching QuickBooks online?
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of others. We get a lot of private colleges as well.
Private, the private stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Marisa. This is very valuable information for somebody looking to become a trainer. And Bill, I want to have a last question. Is, have you write your own advanced certification yet?
I've taken the course. I took the funny thing is, I took the advanced certification course before.
Exam.
I know. I took the advanced certification course before I even took the regular one. It was because I didn't realize what I was signing up for. So I did I went over to Vancouver and did it. So I know I've been a bad boy. I will take the exam and make you happy.
Well, I want you have all the benefits from the Pro Advisor program. Once you have advanced, you can be listed higher ranking in the website, so you can have potential new clients find you because they're already online. And the more benefit for the training for bookkeepers. So that's why I'm pushing you to get this advanced. So hopefully you get it done before maybe you go to teach.
Well, I'll do it over Christmas. That's what I'll do over Christmas then. I'll go over the material. The material's right there. I know exactly where it is on my desk, and I'll go back over it again, and then I'll write the exam over Christmas just to make you happy. Okay?
Yes, I want you have all the KBO certifications. You have the clients look for you. Okay, Bill's firm has all I need.
Yeah.
So you get more new
there you
needs.
go.
We want you to be more profitable. We want to have more cloud-ready clients.
Yes.
Right? So you don't have to take too much time to teach the people who doesn't want to use those clients. They go through our website to find you. They're already ready to be QuickBooks on. So
okay.
That's why.
All right.
Okay, thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed the chat with you. Hopefully we can do another session in the future to be more specific topics next time. So today,
All right.
just in general, introduce your firm. I'll send you the recordings, and I will send out a survey for you as well. So I'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks, Jessie.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Marisa.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.